Hello, this is Ryan with Synergy. So what I'd like to show you today is an attack simulation software called Infection Monkey. So right now I'm on my main desktop computer here, right? And what I have set up on XCPNG is a Windows 10 machine and a Ubuntu server machine. So here's the Windows 10 machine, and then here's the Ubuntu server. So what I've done is I've went to the Infection Monkey. Here, let me go to it here. So you go to the Infection Monkey website, which is by Akamai, if I was saying that right. So then you go to their GitHub, right? So right from their website, they have a link to their GitHub. It's very convenient. So then you just scroll down to the very bottom here. You can get the .exe. So then you just press here and just save, right? So I've already downloaded it, but I'll save it anyways. So you download that, and then what you're going to want to do is you can just minimize this, and you go over here, and you're going to go to your firewall and network protection settings. So as you see right here, it found a threat, right? We just downloaded Infection Monkey, and it saw a threat. Now, so what you have to do to prevent that is you have to go into here and you have to make sure to disable real-time protection. Click yes, good. So then what you're going to do is you're going to leave this open, right? Yep, it's going to warn you saying that, protection's off. Minimize this. And something else that you should do when you're trying to run it from a machine is go in here and go into your system and security, right? And then Windows Defender Firewall. And then you're going to turn off the firewall. This is only temporarily, but you do this to run this, right? So then what you're going to do is you're going to go back into your settings here, and you go to your downloads and double click on Infection Monkey and install it. If you install Infection Monkey before stopping the real-time protection, you're going to have to install it again. So that's fine. Just go back here, like I said, just click that, and it'll install. Once you have it, just click this, install it, and you'll see this right here, Infection Monkey. So one thing you're going to want to do to make sure you have the credentials is you're going to want to create a folder here. I've created a folder, and I've put in the IP address of this computer, and then I've put in the address, the port it's going to use, because Infection Monkey uses port 5000. And then I put in the username and password that I'm going to use, or if you've already set it up, the username and password, which it is. So I've got those. So then what you're going to want to do is just double click this. You can run this administrator, which probably is a good idea, but and the only reason you might run this as an administrator is because from the notes from Infection Monkey themselves, they say that you get access to more settings, I guess. I don't want to say settings. You get access to more of the system, right? It can see more of the system. That's probably the best way to say it. All right, so then what you're going to do once you have this up here, it's saying to go to the address of the server, the one that I had mentioned right here, right? So you can do that, which that's fine. The cool thing is, at least with this, is you can go to this address from anywhere in the network, and you can manage it from there. But if you're already on the machine, you can actually just go to localhost, which is also a way to get to it. So I've already logged in, but if I log out, it's going to force me to log in with this username and password. Your first time in there, you're going to have to set a username and password. It's fairly simple, but yeah. Oh, there we go. All right. All right, so it's logged me out, probably because it's been some time since I logged in. So then you're going to go in here. Okay. Infection, password 1, good. So it's got a few things here, right? You see all this. The first thing I would recommend doing is going into plugins. When you go in here, you're not going to see any plugins installed, which is going to make configuring Infection Monkey, um, it's just not going to have enough in there. So you're going to press all save plugins, install, just install them, and just don't install these two because they say that they're unsafe. So I would just not install them. And then you're going to go into configuration here, and you're going to make sure that all of the exploiters are enabled. Make sure that you're comfortable on all the machines that you're going to be running this against, and that's why once you've completed this section, the next section is going to be the most important piece. This section will basically tell Infection Monkey which computers or which IP addresses to scan or go through. Because I'm using basically, most of the computers on this network are not going to be, it's not going to really be affected by this. I haven't set any actual threatening pieces in this to where it would actually cause damage. Because by default, Infection Monkey doesn't really have any exploits that'll cause any real damage. But it's still worth to think about because I've heard there are problems depending on what you set up. So anyways, just think about it. So I have all of them basically. I just skipped the router and I skipped the broadcast address. So then right here you can block IPs, right? So let's say you wanted to scan, the whole network except for, maybe a server or maybe a computer. You would just add it here. And then, if I were you, I would just take this same address list here and just paste it here. So right here, it's going to be doing the ping sweep, and right here, it's just going to be doing the scans, right? Yeah, it doesn't really tell you exactly in what way it's scanning. I mean, technically, you could also say that's kind of scanning. But anyways, so then you can say... so you can say the amount of pings it'll go with. I've seen people go with quite a few. I say that no more than 2 on most of these things is best. You want it to time out because you don't want it to cause any problems. So just set it 2 and just leave it. And then you can add more ports here. I've added 5,000 just because, well, Infection Monkey's using 5,000. I figured why not. Okay, so what you're going to do then is go down here, make sure you have all of these selected. Then you're going to go back up. Well, actually, press submit, make sure it's saved. That's one thing you got to make sure to do. So you got to save on each of these screens. And then you go to credentials, which is another important piece if you want to test credentials. So let's say you have passwords. I don't know, let's say 20, 30 passwords you wanted to test. You could put them in here, and then you get to, put the username and passwords in here. This, you can get more detailed with this. As you see, it's got a lot of information in here. You could test SSH keys and stuff like that, but I haven't seen it actually exploit based on credentials, but it's possible. It could. Some people actually put in the exact username and password for machines because they want to see what happens if it actually gets a hold of the machine. I just want to see what it can do with some default credentials, nothing that it can actually get through with. So I'm just leaving it like that. So the scan depth, I actually think 2 is probably best. I don't see any reason to go further than that. If you set this too high, it may get lost and it just kind of stuck across multiple hops. At least that's what I've heard. But it should be fine. Now here's one part that you really need to research if you want to go further with, and that's ransomware. So ransomware, well, if you enable this, there's potential for it to cause issues. Here, let's look at it real quick. So it actually can encrypt directories is kind of the issue with it. Now, I don't have anything set on here, but you can actually target directories and have it allow it to encrypt it, and then you got to come back and try to decrypt it. I'm not going to do any of that. Maybe another time I'll attempt that. But there's, you could be running a ransomware attack against your own systems and actually be successful, which would be a lot of work to fix. If let's say it encrypted 6 devices, you gotta go back and fix each one. I'm not gonna do that. So then you got the credential collector. So this one and a lot of some of the others are not selected at first. I actually selected this one. I wanted to see what it can find. So you select these, press submit, and it's saved. So then you go to the next one. I didn't select this one, but this is also something you can put in here. You can mimic malware signatures, basically. Most likely, if you did set up some of these things and it actually did penetrate into a system, if you have any sort of antivirus on there, it'll probably pick it up. Yeah, but you know, it'd be interesting to see. All right, so now what we're going to do, since we have that set up, the configuration is complete. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into the Run Monkey section, and you're going to set up a Linux one. You're going to do your own configuration and have it set to, you don't have to put a username in here, but have it set to Linux. And then what you're going to do is, you see this here, you're going to copy that. Before you do that, what you're going to want, if you're on this, especially since you're on the same network, you can also do this with Windows, which, you know, but I'm going to do it with Linux. I've already got a Linux machine ready to go. So what I would do is SSH into that other machine. You're going to be doing PowerShell if you're using Windows, but it's Linux. So this machine, let me take a look. So this machine, I have, alright, so infection. No. Monkey. Monkey is a user account. So monkey at infection. SSH monkey at infection. Cool. Alright, so then just put in your password. Cool. Alright, so I'm in here now. So then what you're going to do is, you see out here it's going down. You're going to want to just, you could refresh it if you want, but now you're going to go ahead and just copy this. Every time you either copy or refresh, it's going to change this right here. So you're going to have to get a new one, basically. Alright, so then you have an option to run it as admin. If you run it as admin, I'm not sure if it'll actually find more or not, just because it's run as admin, but you could. I'm just going to run it as a regular account and see what happens. See if it can run like this. And it's going through. Let's see what it does. Alright, it's going through. I just saw it actually select all of the different port numbers there. I just saw 443. I think I saw port 80. Oh, there they are right there. 8080, I think I saw. Yep, there it goes. Going through, checking each port. It's probably going to keep going through that same list of ports over and over against every IP address that we've set for it to scan. And then every IP that it's also set to ping, it's also going to look at. Yeah, at the end of this, you actually get a log of this entire event log, basically. So now, once you've done that, you're just going to go over to the infection map here. And this is a really cool map because it starts to like sprout computers from each, on the net that are on the network, all from infection. Because as you see here, it's got this gray line. So this is the Monkey Island, right? Everything started from here. It's where we started. Then what we did was we said, okay, so we're going to have an agent be placed on here. So now the agent, this infection, which is this right here, this is where it's running from in the back end. You can't see it here, but it's running. And then what it's doing from this device is it's feeding that information back into through this gray line back here. So it's building a really comprehensive map of the entire network. And this is really useful for someone who wants to know what devices are on the network, but also wants to have some type of, I guess, visual, because it's really cool about the visual part of it. It's probably one of the best parts. You can kind of like move these around, and then actually you can print this. You can print this page, and have each device shown on here. It's only, at least from this angle, it's only going to show you the IP address. But you can, right now it's probably not finished, but you can also download logs from each device, or logs that it found from each device. It's not gonna have a whole lot of information on devices it wasn't able to get into, which, like I said, I didn't really give it enough information for it to be able to break in devices or be able to penetrate into devices. But what it will be able to tell you is which ports it's able to find that are open, like here, right here. So here's a good example. This device is .211, and it's a Linux operating system, and it's telling you that it's tried SSH 16 times, right? And gray is unsuccessful, red is successful. So it was unsuccessful 16 times, and it's against SSH, but the key thing to notice about that is that it never stopped it, right? So let's say you have a Linux server, and let's say there was like some type of scripted ransomware that was trying to break into multiple devices, right? If you don't have anything to say, hey, you've tried too many times, like 16 times is enough, right? You can't try anymore, then it'll keep trying until it does break in, right? So this looks like, oh, well, look, it failed every time. But it will eventually succeed if it has the right, combination of credentials. And if trends keep going the way they are, they'll eventually get those credentials, and then they'll be able to get in. So let's see, what's another one? All right, here's another Linux box. So some of these are probably like what you call an Internet of Things device. They're devices that aren't computers, like maybe a TV that has internet access. All right, here's one. I actually know this one. This is actually a virtual machine that's in my environment. It runs, this one in particular, .3, is running this XCPNG. Or actually, no. This is, I think .2 is running it. .3 is the GUI. Basically the same thing. All right, so let's see. Here's Windows. Windows is Windows. Yeah, okay. MSSQL, SSH. So tried 12 times there. Tried 16 times there. You know what I'm very surprised on? I don't see RDP. Here, let's look at this one. It should. I would imagine it should give you. Oh, here we go. Wait a second. That's what I needed to do. Zoom out. It's much better. All right, so now zoomed out, should look a lot more interesting when you print this. When you print this, it'll give this entire display, so the more you can have in here, the better. Right now, it's not showing the export button because it's not finished. So we can go over to the security reports here. It's going to take some time. It's going to continue to go through. I think the best thing to do is just wait. So I'm going to just let it continue. It's going to generate more and more. There's quite a few devices on this network, and I'll be right back. Alright, so it's finished here. So we got quite a few devices in here. We have some Windows devices, Linux devices, Internet of Things devices. It's quite a few. So if we click on one of these, you can actually see that it's found quite a little bit of info. WMI, it's tried, SMB, MSSQL, SSH. We've already seen SSH a few times, but there's some more in there, but it's all again based on your configuration here. So the more ports you add, the more it'll attempt, and the more it'll find. But it's cool. This map's really interesting. You can like move every little piece around and makes it look interesting. It's just cool like that. So this map's really nice. You can actually just press here and save. So you gotta press here, save, and then can actually keep like how this map looks right now. So let's go over to the security reports. This is a pretty good space to start. So go down here. I did this particular scan quite a while ago now, but took about 18 minutes. And it shows you what it tried, the exploiters it used. It has basically all of the things that you put in the configuration. It'll kind of show it here. All right, so it tells us that it found 17 machines, but it also found 24 services. So if we go over here, we can see there's a few services that are actually labeled unknown. That's interesting, but mainly that makes you think, okay, what does that do? So what I do is I just copy this and I search for it. So I actually just went over here and looked at this one. So 445, what is it? Well, it's actually something to do with SMB, which would make sense considering how many Windows machines we have on the network, but also because we ran the SMB exploiter, which I guess if you looked more closely, it'll tell you. But it also makes sense because that's actually one of the ports in the configuration that we set for it to scan. Okay, so scrolling down this, it's quite a few that are basically the same. Let's see, 445 again, 443, 22, which is interesting. It says unknown for 22 because, well, it should know what that is, but it's cool. So 135, it's interesting. So, that's good info. Then the next thing you go to is the breach servers, which is none of them were breached. And then stolen credentials is something we added. It's a section where it tries to actually look for something. And then at the bottom here, it's got support for Infection Monkey, so you can actually reach out to support with them. But I haven't done that. I haven't really even dove into some of the other options in this. It can be more advanced the more time you spend with this. I just ran it simple because the more advanced you make it, the more risk you're taking. That's how I think of it. Because let's say you wanted to run a ransomware test, you're already taking a risk by running it. And then there's the fact that you could actually set, if you go back into this, you could actually set, where is it? Payloads. So you can actually set where you want the ransomware to go, which would be encrypting those locations, which is kind of dangerous. So all right, let's go to events. So the events is where you find a lot of the really good info, at least my favorite info. So in here it's got some info on what attacks. It labels it as tags, but basically these are the types of attacks it tried based on I guess the plugins you have selected. Yeah, right, the type of exploits it used. So this one saying it's SMB, failed to authenticate. Most all of them are going to fail because I didn't really give it a whole lot of info. It's only going to go off of the passwords and usernames that you give it. So if you want it to succeed, all you got to do is give it the right info. But I didn't really care for it to succeed because, well, who knows what it can do, right? You really want to run this. If you really want to test it out, you could, but there's always a risk. So keep that in mind. So there's quite a few events in here, and it just keeps going and going. There's actually 800 events. So we go over one. So look, it's 100 more. It keeps going. So one way to parse this in a better, well, I wouldn't say better format because I kind of like the way this looks, but one way to parse this so you can have it all in one spot would be to just save it. And I've actually tried this a few times. So you just open this up. You can use like Libra, which is free. And you can go here and then LibreOffice. And so what it does is it separates it based on section here. And then you can do this with Excel as well. So Excel will do the same thing. But then you can just open it up here. And it's got all the, sections here separated by IP address and the attacks that they used and all. It's pretty helpful, pretty handy. So, okay, so that's pretty cool. There's quite a few different types of attack software out there. I just thought this would be interesting because of how it visualizes everything. Yeah, so when you're done with Infection Monkey, it's best to actually press Kill All Monkeys, which I'm going to do right now. Kill all monkeys, right? Because you could actually say that it's like kill all agents, but because you just would rather it be removed, I'm not even certain that it's going to remove every bit of that from it. So whatever you do set this up on something, um, think about, you know, that, I guess. But you can run this on a main computer. I'm running this on a virtual machines just for the sake of it. So then once you've pressed kill all monkeys, just press reset, right? And then all of the data that you had is gone. So that's why you got to make sure that you save it, right? So these check marks are going to be removed eventually, and then it's going to back to, oh, they're gone, and it's back to the beginning. And then you can go back through, set up a different set of configuration, and you know, maybe credentials, maybe like, hey, I want to try this type of attack or something like that, you know. Yeah, again, I really like this because it's got the visualization to it. There are some attack simulation software out there that are based in command line, or they're based you have to use like Ubuntu you know, command line, like I said, and I just like this more. I think this is more interesting this way. But I will test some of those out. Those are going to be the next ones, I think. But yeah, this is a good test, a good start, I believe. But yeah, if you want to see anything else, let me know. I'm just going to continue to, on this channel, basically, I'm going to continue to make attack simulations, firewall rules, cybersecurity in general, tips and tricks I have. And you can go to my website, actually, at synergy.com and look at some of the blog posts I have on there. Yeah, just reach out. You can reach me at info@synergy.com. And the music in this video, it's by Frequency. Great, great music artist. Check them out. All right, thank you.